Unless you've been living under a rock, you would well be aware that when it comes to artificial intelligence, there has been a tsunami of sorts. A Chinese company, DeepSeek, has released AI models that have surpassed OpenAI's ChatGPT as the most downloaded app on the App Store. It has been developed on a meager $5 million budget, which is a fraction of the hundreds of billions pumped in by OpenAI, Meta, and Google into their top models. Remember, just a day after taking oath, Donald Trump announced a $500 billion partnership to ramp up AI infrastructure in the US. Days later, a Chinese firm showed that with ingenuity, R&D, and smart investment, you can be the disruptor. But can DeepSeek be trusted, especially with our history in China? Or is this AI actually CI, which means Chinese intelligence? Let's check. So we decided to run a small test. We asked DeepSeek what has happened to Uyghur Muslims in China. Let's see what happened after a few seconds. It buffered for a bit. It gave a detailed response, what you see on your screen right now, which included the Chinese government's perspective. In conclusion, it said that there is credible evidence pointing to systematic repression, but then suddenly, while scrolling, look at what happened. All the information simply vanished and a one-line message appeared that said, "Sorry, that's beyond my current scope. Let's talk about something else." Okay, so let's talk about something else. How about Tawang? You know how touchy China is about this Indian town in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. China claims Tawang, in fact, all of Arunachal Pradesh, as its own. But DeepSeek should stick to facts, right? Let's see what it did when we asked DeepSeek what country is Tawang in. It starts off by saying that Tawang has a significant Tibetan population, but not sure if it is in China. It says alternatively, it could be in China because there is a region called Arunachal there, and then all of a sudden, again, this information also disappears. Clearly, restrictions kick in and a message pops up that says, "Sorry, I'm not sure how to approach this type of question yet. Let's chat about math, coding, and logic problems instead." Well, we will give it one more try then. We asked DeepSeek, why is the Dalai Lama in India? And tried to circumvent the AI by asking for special characters for certain letters. The AI gave the Chinese version of the Dalai Lama's escape to India, claiming it was a failed uprising against China, but then the restrictions kicked in and again we got a sorry message. Essentially, you get the idea that the scope of this AI tool is obviously censored to Chinese sensibilities. The fact that it is out is akin to USSR shocking the US in the 50s by launching Sputnik, the first artificial satellite, in the face of American establishment's confidence of its dominance in science and technology. It's also a sobering reminder for India that money doesn't buy everything, certainly not innovation. DeepSeek is proof that while the US is pouring in billions, it is possible to do with less. But is India anywhere in the race? Research and development is probably the cornerstone for a tech product. An economic survey by World Intellectual Property Organization shows that India's R&D investment as a percentage of GDP stands at just 0.64%. For China, that number is 2.41%. When it comes to numbers, China's R&D expenditure is around $500 billion. For context, India's total budget for 2025 is $575.78 billion US dollars, which means they are spending as much on R&D as we are in our entire budget. Let's take a look what budget has been set aside specifically for Mission AI by the two governments. Last week, China set up an $8.2 billion AI investment fund days after the US imposed fresh chip export restrictions. India has budgeted 10,300 crores for its AI mission in FY25, roughly around $1.2 billion. Look at the comparison, $1.2 billion, $8.2 billion. Next, let's talk about the large language models. These are AI-powered models that can understand and generate human language. Within China, DeepSeek is facing fierce competition. China will have 10 labs comparable to OpenAI and at least 50 Tier 2 labs. Some of the high-profile AI projects are Qwen from Alibaba, Minimax, Kimi, Duobao from ByteDance, which is TikTok's parent company. India has built a couple of LLMs, but on a much smaller scale. DeepSeek has 671 billion parameters. India's Sarvam-1 LLM has only 2 billion parameters. Indian startups like Sarvam and Krutrim are making significant strides, but we need hundreds of such players. We can't just rely on one or two companies for road infrastructure. Similarly, we shouldn't be relying on just a couple of companies for LLMs either. How about patents? Let's look at patents that have been filed for inventions that use artificial intelligence. World Intellectual Property Organization report reveals that between 2014 and 2023, more than 38,000 inventions involving generative AI were filed in China. 6 times more than the United States, which was at second spot. India stood a distant fifth with 1,350 patents. It's safe to say that while the US may be the leader right now, China is closing the gap and fast. India, on the other hand, is yet to make a definitive mark in this game. But all is not lost. It just takes a little grit, a little bit of intent, and a little bit of investment. India was caught on the wrong side of nuclear lines earlier and took decades to undo the mistake. Let's hope that mistake is not repeated.